Alright, in this video I'm going to show you guys how to install a set of 164 alloy wheels without modifying them. I will show you another video later on how to deep dish a set of alloy wheels. As you can see here, I've deep dished these ones. So for this car, for the 993 Porsche, because the back of the car is so wide, there's the stock axle you'll see. It's actually quite a bit wider than the axles that you get in the 164 alloy wheel kit. And because of that, sorry, I just had a little trouble there. There you go, you can see it's quite a bit longer. Because of that, you cannot just install a set of 164 alloys on the back of a 993. So there's a couple of ways you can do it. You can deep dish them, and then the axle is just long enough. I'll show you that here right now. So you take, sorry, let me take a step back here. So when you get your axles in the bag, they come like this. There's two axles. You get 5 little end pins, and the axles are actually hollow. And so what I do is I take one of the pins and I slide it into the axle like this. As you can see, I've already done it here. I pre-glue that one in place so I have one side of an axle. Now, theoretically, you don't even need to take a Hot Wheels car apart to do a wheel swap with 164 alloy wheels. If you can get inside, if you can get into the wheel, or even if you just don't even care about it, you can get in there with a set of nips, cut that axle, pull the wheel assembly out, and then just slide in a new set of 164 alloy wheels. So if you're not painting the car, if you just want to do a really simple wheel swap, you can do that without popping the Hot Wheels car apart. If you want to know how to pop a Hot Wheels car apart, you can have a look at one of my other videos there. It shows you how to do it quite nicely. All right, so getting back to this, like I said, these are deep dished. So they will work on the back of the 993, although I'm not going to permanently glue it here because, and I'll show you why here in a second. So you just slide that in. That goes like that. Now, I like to have something to hold the axle in place so it doesn't slide out. That's just resting on the pin there. Grab my other deep dish wheel. And you want to make sure it pokes through the face. So it actually does come through the side here by about 1/16 of an inch, which is probably what you want. You do want a bit of slack in there so the wheels can spin. Then I'll just add a bit of gel style crazy glue to the pin, and then you just, your eyesight is still good, you would just slide that in place. So obviously you don't want to put too much glue on there, because what'll happen is it'll mushroom out and you run the risk of possibly gluing the wheel. Now with the 1/16 of an inch of axle sticking out, if there's a little bit of glue around the head, that's not a big deal, right? So then you'd have that glued in place, and there's what you'd have on the back of a 935 with deep dish wheels. The axle is long enough. Now, however, I should have taken this part first. What you end up with is a wheel assembly that kind of just sits on the inside of the fender, as you can see, like that. And this side, it's a little more flush. So depending on what kind of look you're going for, if you're happy with that look on the back of the car there, then that's great, no problems. But if you want something that, you know, the tire kind of comes just maybe, you know, a hair past the outside of the fender, you're gonna have to modify this. All right, there's no way that these axles that are supplied are going to be long enough to do that. Now on other cars they probably are. They're great. In fact, on other cars you might have to shorten these, and if you're going to shorten them, and you can, these are stainless steel tubes, you have to use a Dremel. If you try and cut this by hand, you'll just collapse it and you won't be able to get your little axle pin in there anymore. So you're going to want to use a Dremel with a cutoff tool, and you can shorten these and clean it up nicely, and then you can put them in other cars. Again, I'm focusing on the 993 for most of my videos here because it's one of my favorite castings, and I'm making lots of customs of it. So here's what we do if we have, nope, that one's so these wheels have been deep dished as well, and you can see I have a little tiny spacer there that has spaced them out. So what I've done there is I've taken the original axle, I've clipped the end off of it, like so. Normally after cutting it with the side cutters, you're going to have to clean the tip because it's been, the tip of the axle that you cut off, because it's been distorted probably and it won't slide through the wheel nicely. So I put a stone in the Dremel and I just clean that up. Then you're going to have to get some small tubing that has the 1/16 of an inch. Let me just double check that for you. Here it is right here. It's got the 1/16 by 0.14 inside diameter. This one's actually a different size, but what I've done here is I've cut the brass part so that it fits inside the axle retainers on the interior, and it's the axle retainers on the interior that are actually holding your axle in place, because of course to use that you need to mill out with a Dremel a little trough for that to sit there, otherwise the wheels will sit higher in the body than the front wheels. So that's one way to do it if you have deep dished rear wheels, which is a really nice look. The other way, I have another car here that the rear wheels haven't been deep dished. See, that's a standard dish on those wheels. Just gonna put that body aside so it doesn't get damaged. So what has ended up happening here, same idea, but my little aluminum spacers on the outside for the wheels there had to be a little longer. So you have to you'll have to take some measurements and cut that kind of stuff to get them to fit nicely in the back of the 993. Moving right along, I will show you an axle assembly on on a front axle, because why not? So here's our standard body. It hasn't been painted or nothing's been modified on it here. The wheels are still in place on it. And basically what you need to take these out, I mean, if you're not planning to, this doesn't hurt the axles anyway, so I just grip these with a pair of pliers, give them a twist, and they pop right out. The axle stays straight, everything's cool. Take the other side of the pliers and I just push those back down again. Now, you just heard that broke, that tab broke. Now, it doesn't really matter, because like I said, that's not what holds the axle in once the car's reassembled anyway, so it doesn't matter. Pop the back one out, same thing, smooth it over, there you go. So now you have a base without axles in it. As you can see, I've put some tips on there, so that's another video for later. So you take your axle, like I said, this one I've already glued the end in, right? We're going to do the front on this one. So I'm taking a standard wheel and I'm sliding the axle in. Now, these are actually unidirectional tires, if you can believe it. So have a look at those before you install them, if you care about that sort of thing. I do. So I slide that in place. It's in place, right? Now, because this is a standard dish, usually my finger can hold that axle pin in place when I tip it over. It doesn't matter. Make sure I'm grabbing the other standard wheel and paying attention to the direction of the tires. You know, so they're on the right side. And now these ones I've flipped the rear cups around just for stability. It makes the contact patch for the axle wider. Again, I can show you that in another video here. But for right now, I'm just going to show you a basic install. It doesn't matter if the wheel is the other way around, or the rear cup's the other way around. The wheel assembly still goes together exactly the same way. So there you have that. We'll just put this down for a second. All right, then you grab your axle pin out of the kit. Put a tiny bit of glue on there. Everything about working in this scale is a bit fiddly. All right. and then align that up. And you want to make sure that you push that all the way in. And there you have a 164 axle installed in the base of a Hot Wheels car. Just like that. Super easy, man. All right. Hope you enjoyed that video. Thanks.